The loud bang on my glass door at 6 in the morning hit me like a firecracker, waking me up from drinking my first cup of coffee. Without shoes and still in my pajamas, I walked over thinking it was maybe a delivery person who got lost. But instead there was Diane Wheeler, the HOA president, dressed up in a ribbon that said Event Chairwoman and holding a clipboard like it was a weapon. "We need your house empty by Friday for our family get-together," she said loudly. No hi, no, nothing, just being super bossy. Her rudeness woke me up faster than the coffee in my cup. "Wait, what?" I said. I thought I heard wrong, but she pushed right past me into my living room, looking around like she was trying to figure out how much money my stuff was worth. "This place is perfect for the main stage," she said, not even listening to me. "Right, by the lake, great view for everyone." She turned around with a fake smile that felt like a slap in the face. "It's for everyone in the neighborhood, you understand, right?" My dog Max, who's a golden retriever, walked in, took one look at her, and sneezed like even he knew she was being ridiculous. I'm not part of the HOA. Never have been. My grandpa bought this house by the lake outside Boise, Idaho way before the HOA even existed, making it his own private land that nobody could touch. The HOA is like a tight belt wrapped around my house, but it doesn't actually fit. My cabin, with its own dock and gravel driveway for my truck and boat, is the kind of peaceful place people wish they had. But to Diane, it was just something valuable she hadn't taken control of yet. I stared at her, trying to understand how crazy this was. "You want me to leave my own house so your family can have a party on my land?" She sighed like I was the dumbest kid in class. "It's not about you. It's about making the whole neighborhood happy. We've got 200 people coming. The invitations are already sent out. We'll pay you back for any trouble and we'll clean everything up. We're bringing portable bathrooms. We're not animals." She said it like she was so sure of herself that I almost thought I was going crazy. "You invited 200 people to my house?" I asked. She brushed it off. "Your driveway connects to our street, so we have temporary rights to use it for events. It's kind of a gray area." That's when it hit me. She wasn't asking nicely. She was just taking over. My grandpa fought hard to keep this place free. When the HOA tried to claim they could use the lake years ago, he took them to court and put up a boundary post by the water, like giving them the middle finger legally. Every HOA president since then had tried sneaky ways to get around it. Diane just decided to be a total bully about it. I told her to get out, said she was on my property illegally, and threatened to call the police. She smirked, holding her clipboard under her arm like it was a trophy. "I guess we'll do this the hard way," she said and walked out all sassy. I stood there with the door open, trying to process how incredibly rude she was. This wasn't about a party. It was about power. Diane hated when people told her no. She'd complain about a neighbor for flying a kite too high. She bothered an old lady about a doormat that wasn't approved. Now she was coming after my land, and I had a strong feeling she wasn't just bluffing. That afternoon I walked to the dock to calm down. The lake was sparkling and peaceful, with birds flying over its surface. I hoped Diane might give up and realize how crazy this whole thing was. Then I saw it. A pile of folding chairs and a wrapped-up tent dumped on my gravel driveway. My anger exploded. I took pictures. This wasn't a mistake. It was her breaking the rules. By evening, an HOA email showed up. The subject said, "Event setup and cooperation request." It was written in fancy legal language, but basically said, "We're doing this whether you like it or not." They'd marked my cabin as the event headquarters. They planned to have a band, fireworks, and a bouncy house, all paid for partly by HOA membership fees. A bold line said, "Non-members may still have to help with community activities." I sent it to my lawyer. This was a war. The next morning, I found HOA workers on my land, hammering stakes into the ground for food trucks. "Just doing what we're told," one mumbled. The HOA lady said, "It's all ready to go." I called the police. The officer showed up looking tired. "Let me guess, Diane," he said. I nodded. "She's throwing a family reunion on my property." He looked at the stakes. "It's a civil matter. Technically, a trespassing complaint could take weeks. Show me the ownership papers, though, and you're golden. Just move fast. I walked back to the cabin, furious. This wasn't just a house. It was where I went fishing with Grandpa, where I shoveled my first snow, where Max sleeps by the fire. Diane wanted to erase all that for a party she could have had anywhere else. If she wanted to fight, I'd make sure she was sorry for messing with me. The next day, hammering woke me up again. Through the window blinds, I saw HOA volunteers putting up banners and traffic cones like they were setting up a festival. A plastic sign on my lot said, "Welcome to the annual HOA lakefront party, courtesy of the community." Max growled, sensing the invasion. I put on boots, grabbed my phone, and marched outside. A woman I didn't know shoved a clipboard at me. "Are you the caretaker? I need your signature for the permit." I blinked. "Caretaker?" She nodded. "Diane. Said the owner's out of town and you're handling the place for the reunion." My stomach felt sick. I grabbed the clipboard. It was a fake permit with HOA letterhead, no county seal. My name wasn't anywhere on it. "I'm the owner," I said. "This is trespassing." She froze. A guy in a safety vest muttered, "This isn't community land." I raised my voice. "This property was never part of the HOA. It's older than your rules. Touch anything else and I'm filing charges." They ran away. I tore down the banner, threw away the cones, then noticed something weird. PVC pipes, running along my property, connected to a water pump by the HOA clubhouse, dripping water toward my lawn. I followed it to their gutter system. They'd set up the water flow to flood my land, hoping to make it soggy and shut me up. I cut the pipes with scissors. Their sneaky move gave me an idea. I drove to see Uncle Pete. He was Grandpa's old friend, and a retired city engineer who knew the lake's hidden water systems. I showed him the photos and explained Diane's trick. His eyes got angry. "The HOA's been after your land since your grandpa died. They messed up big time with this water trick." He pulled out an old yellowed blueprint. "Your property has a flood control system under the east yard, connected to a county overflow pump from the 1970s. It's still legal, still works. Run it a few hours and you'll turn their party area into a swamp." I asked if it would cause damage. He grinned. "Not if you put sandbags in the right places, just enough to ruin their day." We planned it out. Back home, I found the storm panel in my shed, cleaned off the dust, and tested the valve. It hummed to life, connected to underground pipes, ready to cause some trouble. I bought sandbags and tubing, and checked my grandpa's old backup pump. Everything was ready. The HOA didn't know their dance floor sat on top of a sleeping monster. That evening, I watched Diane march down the HOA path. She wore a wide hat and Bluetooth headset, directing workers like she thought she was some big shot. Tables arrived, a generator was rolled in, and an archway went up by the dock. She'd even hired a security guard who waved like we were friends. I drank lemonade on my porch, letting her build her dream party. That night, I double-checked the sandbags, timed the pump's water flow, and made sure no water would spill over to my cabin. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. Just wanted Diane's plans to get soaked. This wasn't petty revenge. It was taking back what was mine. She'd forgotten that laws existed, forgotten about consequences, forgotten this lake had a memory that I'd inherited. I barely slept. By morning, the reunion was going full speed. SUVs packed the road. People in matching shirts were carrying picnic stuff. A DJ van set up near the boundary post, with the bass thumping. Diane's setup was amazing. Umbrellas, catered tables, tiki torches stuck into my lawn like she'd conquered the territory. She got on a stage on the gravel lot with a microphone in hand, talking about community togetherness and shared spaces, claiming my lakefront like she built it. The crowd clapped. My hands clenched into fists. I waited an hour, letting them get comfortable, letting Diane think she'd won. Then I grabbed the wireless control panel, sat in my recliner, and flipped the switch. Nothing changed at first, but I knew the pump was working. The underground water channel would spread water fast. I counted to 50, stepped onto the porch, and heard the first splash. A kid yelled, "Water's coming up from the ground!" Another voice confused, "Why is the lot flooding?" I leaned on the railing, watching water seep through the gravel, sparkling in the sun. It curled around chairs, soaked tables, and tilted the bouncy house. A table fell over with sandwiches floating like little boats. Laughter turned to panic. Diane screamed, "What's happening? Is this someone's joke?" She yanked wires from the DJ setup, slipping in the mud. Guests scrambled, with tires spinning in mud and cars getting stuck. Kids were picked up, with their party clothes soaked. Diane spun around in the chaos, ankle deep, in water, her perfect event falling apart. She pointed at me. "You did this! You sabotaged us!" I waved casually. "Didn't you call this community land? Nature's just sharing the swimming pool?" The police car rolled up. Same officer, looking fed up. Diane ran to him, soaking wet. "Arrest him! He flooded our event!" I handed over my house deed, property map, and flood system permit. He read slowly, noting the HOA's earlier water trick. "You've got legal rights to manage your water runoff," he said. "Can't arrest him for that," Diane screamed. "You can't let him get away with this." The officer turned. "Ma'am, you set up an event without permission. That's trespassing, maybe a public disturbance too." She went pale. People had their phones out, filming her makeup-streaked meltdown. In an hour, the lot was a swamp. Coolers floating, chairs drifting around. Diane's victory was a soggy mess. I sat with Max, tossing him treats, drinking tea, watching the chaos. Volunteers tried to save plates with fishing nets. A banner was hung over a fence like a surrender flag. Diane paced around, screaming into her phone about lawsuits, but her guests ran away, splashing to their cars, some escorted by the officer. Then came the big surprise. A teenager, Diane's son, was live, streaming from the mud. "My mom lied," he said with the camera steady. "This isn't HOA land. She faked permits, forged signatures, even tried to flood his lawn first. She said the owner was a caretaker. All lies." Diane lunged for the phone, but he dodged, ending the stream. The crowd went quiet, some smirking, others filming. The video went viral, titled, "HOA Queen Drowned by Her Own Son at Lake Disaster." Comments made fun of her. Stealing land and losing to water. Classic. The next day, a petition hit the HOA board with 42 signatures demanding Diane's removal. At the emergency meeting, she ranted, blaming internet trolls and her son, but residents shared stories of years of her abuse, fines, secret rules, bullying. The vote was 42-3. She was out. Then county investigators came to her house, looking into HOA money misuse. Diane had stolen dues money for decorations, catering, even a rented SUV, all disguised as community expenses. An audit found fake vendors and missing dues. She faced fines, a ban from HOA membership, and whispers of criminal charges. Her house went up for sale. She disappeared within a month. The lake healed. I fixed the lawn, planted trees by the boundary post, and added a bench with a sign saying, "Respect the land. It respects you." Max patrolled, sniffing proudly. Kids fished again, asking permission. Neighbors waved. The tension was gone. A news van came, calling it the Great Lakefront Flood. Online, it became a meme, a warning about HOA power trips. I let a civil rights group use the story for education, drawing a line for homeowners everywhere. The new HOA, led by a guy named Paul, apologized, promised transparency, and filed a property line correction. I found Grandpa's old lake maps, proof of the land's deep history. One evening on the dock, I watched the sunset with Max snoring nearby. A family laughed across the lake, free of Diane's shadow. The water was still, the fight over. I protected. More than land, I honored a legacy, and no one would rewrite that.